Hello. Hi, Audrey.
Welcome, respected Satish Devpujari sir, today's speaker and a well-known pediatrician, teacher of teachers in the field of pediatric intensive care. Also, welcome to MM Observer for today's session, my dear friend, Dr. Suhas Patil sir, who is a professor of pediatrics at Nasik and he is a Dean Academics at Maharashtra Postgraduate Institute of Medical Education and Research Center, Nasik. Welcome all dignitaries present for this webinar and all the delegates also. Today, we have very innovative session, first time in the history of IIP across India, and that is the power of ChatGPT. And to present this, we have Dr. Satish Devpujari sir along with us. So without wasting time, I hand over to today's moderator, Dr. Kashmiri Badbade, who is the secretary of Kolhapur IIP and she is a lead faculty in the HIA module of Maharashtra IIP. So over to you, Kashmiri.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to everyone. On behalf of Maharashtra IIB, I welcome you all for today's forum. We are delighted to welcome you all in today's forum where leading minds in pediatrics care convert to explore the groundbreaking innovation and advancement in the field. Today, we are thrilled to introduce an emerging technology that holds the immense promise for transforming the way we deliver the pediatric care, that is a ChatGPT. So what is this ChatGPT? ChatGPT is a fascinating technology that has the potential to transfer the way we communicate with the machines. As a healthcare professional, we recognize the critical role of communication plays in the diagnosis, treatment, and overall well-being of our young patients. The effective and empathetic communication between the healthcare provider, patients, and their families fosters the trust, understanding, improve the health outcome. In this context, the ChatGPT based on the revolutionary GPT 3.5 language model. We all know about that. Also, there is GPT-4, and there is also a new version is coming like a Llama. So emerges as a powerful tool with the vast potential. But what is this ChatGPT? How can it benefit the pediatric care? So understanding the ChatGPT represents the development in the field of artificial intelligence, AI, which we are talking about, and trained on an expensive corpus of the human language. So what is AI? AI is basically the powered conversational agent who generates the human-like test response, because whatever we type, we get the responses from it. And how can we use in broadly, I just want to introduce that because sir is going to talk about it in detail. So like we can enhance the patient interaction, we can use it for the health education, literacy. Then there is like, we are using the tele consultation nowadays. After COVID, we have started using it in a very better way. Then we can take knowledge from the AI, also the early interventions and screening. And while the ChatGPT brings the tremendous advantage, we also address the potential ethical concerns also. There are various do's and don'ts of ChatGPT and AI that sir will discuss in his topic. As we embark on this transformative journey in pediatric care, let us embrace the potential of ChatGPT to elevate the patient experience, optimize the healthcare deliveries, and enhance the outcome for our young patients. Together, let's explore its possibility, collaboration on its responsible implementations, and contribute to the shaping a brighter and healthier future for our children under our care. So for this today's topic, I welcome Dr. Devpujari sir. Over to you, sir. Sir.
Welcome, Jitu sir.
Dr. Devpujari sir.
Dev Pujari, sir, over to you, sir.
I think he's sharing. I think he's trying to share.
Trying to share. I welcome Dr. Jitendra Gavane, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes, sir. It is full screen and you are audible, sir.
Right. Thank you. And I seriously appreciate Maharashtra Academy of Pediatrics for inviting me for today's topic, which is a very interesting area that we would be going through in early future, in the years to come. So it is a part of AI. ChatGPT is the language module for AI. It's like when I'm speaking to you, I'm communicating with you, and you're able to understand my sense of communication. ChatGPT is a small part of AI. It's not that it will be entire AI. It's a small part of AI, but a very important part of artificial intelligence. And this is about the language module. In fact, the machine can talk to you in the language that you understand, and it can convert from one language to the other language. It can modulate your thought process, and so many things can happen. So I would be taking you through these slides on how it works. So the name ChatGPT is very interesting. Let me adjust my screen. In fact, if you open the screen of your laptop or desktop and look for the apps of ChatGPT, there are lakhs of apps on even MacBook. Of course, on Windows and every other platform, huge number of books are crowding the desktop. In fact, you wonder at which is the original ChatGPT. And it's not very easy to find. But so many of the apps, they use ChatGPT as a background and other language models. They format these models and present a lot of these to us. A small part of it is free presently, but most would be available at a cost. Now, AI is the broader concept of machine being smarter than what is expected. So machine learning is a current application of AI, and we started this journey in 2019 December with our first workshop on AI in Kolhapur. You can see Dr. Shimpi Sharma, she was a vice chancellor, and this was a very interesting workshop on artificial intelligence. Essentially, AI is all about algorithms and smart handling of data. So we created an app called AlgoBan. This was inaugurated by Nandan Nilekani and conducted some workshops on how to create algorithms. So if we have a data which is analyzable, and if we can create smart algorithms, then we are set for AI and indirectly for ChatGPT. So this was our second workshop. And this is Nandan Nilikani inaugurating our app. So essentially, this was a journey about few years. And I anticipated something like ChatGPT to be coming over, and it is now there with us. And believe me, it's going to change our life forever in a big way. As medical professionals, we may not understand the present situation. All of us are in learning phase. We are learning, and so is ChatGPT. I will show you how ChatGPT learns, how this can be fooled, and how this can be used for our benefit. Now, after having gone through software, we entered into an area of hardware. So this was our first project with IIT Bombay. And what you're seeing is an oxygen helmet. This is the Department of Mechanical Engineering in IIT Bombay. And you see,
what we do is we actually give continuous air supply from these two, and the patient breathes, and the breathing out happens from this. And the breathing out is actually exhaled from here. There is a filtering mechanism which goes on. So this gets filtered.
So this was world's first oxygen helmet, which was CFD studied, and this saved thousands of lives during COVID time, because Italian countries had stopped exporting the helmets, and helmets, those were available, there was no clear thought process as to how the gases flow into the helmet. So depending on the sensors, depending on the study of the gas flows, this was done and is now in market. And as you can see here, unlike other helmets, this has studied flow of gases, because these helmets allow flows like 30 or 40 or 50 liters per minute. And when such flows get into the helmet, it can create a Bernoulli's phenomenon, and in fact suck air from your nostril, and it can be real trouble. So this was our hardware AI association. Now I'll take you to the ChatGPT. So in fact, we'll see some questions and how the ChatGPT behaves. So I'm asking ChatGPT, FI out of 30%, PA out of 110, C out of 40, barometric pressure 730, respiratory question, and calculate the AA gradient. Now, the process of calculations is on, and it takes a fraction of a second as it starts. Now it is telling me the gradient formula, and it says that if you can provide me a respiratory question, I will be able to assist you. Now I provide a question which is not correct. Now it says, thank you for providing RQ. It says how I can calculate this gradient. It says, therefore, based on the information provided, this is what the gradient is. I'm asking the ChatGPT, please recheck. It says, apologies for the mistake. Now it corrects itself based on the values. Now I'm telling the ChatGPT that please re-evaluate. Now it's again going through the whole calculations. And best again says, based on the values, the present number is 53.90. I'm again saying it that please recheck it again. And it is doing it now. You can see the process is going on. And every time it is learning to correct the mistakes. Now in the process, sometimes I can fool the ChatGPT. And next time you try and look for this question, you might get my full version of the calculations. All these are possible. So we're going to go through all those things. But remember, Chat GPT can create questions and can answer questions. It can pass USMLE, and it did. It can be fooled also. It can be programmed. So I created a small program for an app through Chat GPT, and it worked perfect. So even if you don't know C+ programming or basic programming, Chat GPT can help you in creating small programs. It can easily fill the discharge card. And it could be really fairly good. It can be programmed to write a prescription. It can analyze ABG for you. It can analyze AA gradient. It can create a PPT. So if you provide the information to Chat GPT, version 4 is slightly better. It's a paid version. It can create a set of slides for you. You can redo the slides, change the backgrounds, change the contents, and the logic can be put in a place and the slides can be ready. So all these are various possibilities that you can do with Chat GPT. Let me mute everyone, it looks like. And what you're seeing are my conversations with Chat GPT. In fact, I'm trying to misguide this software, trying to come out with some new situations, like asking the Chat GPT to calculate this at 50,000 feet above sea level, and trying to see if it is doing a good job at every of these calculations. You can see it working. It does commit mistakes sometimes, but remember, it is going through a fairly important set of calculations. So what is the format that we are seeing today is a very raw format of Chat GPT. Believe me, in next 1 and 2 years, it would improvise itself. So that is how it is intelligent. Like us, if we commit a mistake, we would try and rectify the mistake. And to this extent, it is quite human-like. In fact, every of the information that we are providing, see, I've written wrong answers. Let us apologize for the incorrect responses. Let's recalculate the formulas, and then it is trying to tell me as to what should be the correct way of looking at it. I say wrong again. And again, it is evaluating the data. I've calculated the barometric pressure at 10,000 feet. And at some point now, it will give me a right answer. So I'm saying good job. And it says, thank you for understanding. I apologize for the previous incorrect responses. So, it's just a very interesting thing. And I have now asked it that a 4-year-old progressive loss of ambulation over 2 years, the child is apathetic and all that, and asking as to what would be the diagnosis. It is telling me now that it could be multiple sclerosis or whatever. I can ask ChatGPT. In fact, just about a few days back, I was on a physiology meeting, and one of my colleagues asking me, sir, can you just please put in about 10 MCQs on the respiratory physiology? I said, okay, give me a minute. Ask ChatGPT to create 10 MCQs in relation to respiratory physiology, and they were ready. So it's like it can create questions, it can create answers. Very interestingly, in fact, I was trying to do this experiment, and I'll tell you how it was possible. That I was studying from where in a particular group the questions were coming, which area in Nagpur they were coming, what was the time response, and I was trying to put that data, and I knew that in some part of Nagpur, who is doing good in practice, in some part of Nagpur, who is busy at 4 p.m., who was answering this in just about a second. And this was a very interesting data. And this is how some of this data can be used either in favor of us or the other way around. So it's not just that you are talking to someone. The data that can be getting collected with ChatGPT can tell me that in Kolhapur, Dr. Kashmiri Badbade is working more between 1 to 5 p.m. and she's free after 5 to 5:30, and that's where she's taking ChatGPT. And if that changes over a period of time, I might guess she has changed her work profile. And all of those things can be a very interesting database. And it can really tell a lot of things about what we do. So very interesting things can happen with this software. And now you see that the questions and various answers which are right for those questions can be shown in this. So, and it does answer a lot of complex questions. Now, what I'm doing here is I've asked a question to ChatGPT and corrected that and checked that with one of the best calculators available globally. And in my app, the answer is 194.7, and ChatGPT gives me the exact answer. So even in these complex areas, it is working. But let me tell you one thing. This is just a beginning. It is also learning. It is learning by the feedback that we provide. So, when you provide the feedback, it might ask you whether you're satisfied with the answer. Now, this was my article in the Intensive Care Journal. It is hardcore mathematics in ICU. See this formula of alveolar arterial gradient. This formula runs on 3 pages. In fact, the editorial board was not ready to accept this article. They said, Satish, this is not medicine. He said, this is mathematics. I said, medicine is actually not a science in true sense. It is physics, chemistry, and mathematics. And this is true. Ultimately, we will get to the domain of these basic sciences. So I just showed you the formula, and a formula which is fairly complex. Now, this is what gets behind when we calculate arterial alveolar gradient, when we calculate as to how much oxygen we should give to a given patient. But this formula never comes to us in foreground. This is hidden in some of the technology books. But these formulas basically govern us. So in fact, a lot of our science does go through a fairly hardcore mathematics. And these areas is where ChatGPT would be of tremendous help. So if you go through the flow of how it works, I'm taking you through the flow of one of my new devices, which will be coming in a month. So we made a hardware, fed that with the data. We made a device which would minute to minute evaluate that. And then I could make a small program, feed it to ChatGPT or AI, and get an AI-based equipment. Friends, when I've taken ChatGPT as a heading for this topic, this was, I knew would attract a lot of you. Basically, ChatGPT is a part of AI. So I'm taking you through a journey of AI, and ChatGPT is a language model. Because the technology fellows are very smart. They knew that if they want to attract us, they would like us to talk to the machines. And that way they found that ChatGPT would be the best avenue to get into our pockets or in our hearts, and they have done it very successfully. The present ChatGPT, a good amount of it is available free. But believe me, by next year, I'm sure most of us would be paying, my calculations would be every month at least 1,000 rupees to this software. Because we'll realize that we would definitely need this software. But our patients would have it. And I'm very sure these days they go through Google and try and get the results, which is no comparison to what ChatGPT can do. Like, for example, I wrote to ChatGPT, please write an Urdu poem for a friend of mine whose girlfriend left him 6 months back and he's in serious depression. And in fact, I want to communicate through this Urdu poem my feelings. In a minute, I got an Urdu poem written in Urdu, properly side on the left side, and this poem was ready. So I forwarded that poem to a friend of mine who was very good in Urdu literature and asked him as to how would you rate this poem on a scale of 10 by 10. He writes 9 by 10. Imagine a machine writing a poem. So it's going to be a real interesting world to look for. And I'm very sure our patients would interact with us through the heart and lungs of ChatGPT, and we will have to understand what it really means.
I'm extremely happy.
Now, this is an algorithm in the app of ABG. Now, in fact, this has made the machine smarter. So my app can now diagnose if you have been misusing laxatives. So if an adult with laxative abuse, my app can diagnose that depending on this algorithm. But because I'm not collecting data, this app is not getting wiser. And Apple and Android fellows are very smart. They would not allow us to collect data. So in fact, having data is one thing, but having analyzable data is what it matters. How the machines will become much smarter than all of us put together would be the machine would be able to analyze the data and quickly reproduce the data for us so that we can get wiser. So in fact, the reverse of data is TADA. In our country, we had this draconian law, TADA. So if you don't have a data which is analyzable, what we have is TADA. And in fact, now what we need is an analyzable data. Unlike other softwares, ChatGPT, the higher versions, would give the facility to feed data, analyze and program that data. So all these would make this software much smarter and would be in a position to give us some information which we would have never even thought. Because what happened today is that in a subject like medicine, database is increasing left and right. And as Satish Devpujari, however I might try, last month I was in PGI Chandigarh, and Dr. Surjit Singh showed me about 100 plus patients of recurring febrile episodes. Most of them had some genetic and metabolic abnormalities which I had never ever heard of. And by conventional methods, in spite of a fairly good updated database, I would have labeled this as pyrexia of unknown origin. So in fact, I remember a death certificate, whether I was a house officer, and this was a death certificate which was about 50 years old, which I found in an old file. The cause of death was Vinakaran Gela. It was a very interesting cause of Vinakaran Gela म्हणजे त्याला माहित नव्हतं का गेला आणि एखाद्याच विनाकारण गेला म्हणजे हा फालतूच गेला. So Vinakaran Gela was a cause. We don't know why he died. That time, hardly any tools and hardly any causes were available. Tomorrow, they could be in hundreds and thousands and billions. And we would not be in a position to analyze this. So this is, in fact, you'll be surprised. Today, maximum data or a huge data is with Apple and not with much of the medical facilities. Because every minute the Apple Watch is collecting data, every minute my phone is collecting data, and it is getting analyzed. So it's a huge interaction with large database. So ChatGPT would revolutionize doctor-patient communication. There will be a lot of ethical implications that would come with ChatGPT. It would definitely improve our diagnostic accuracy. It would change the way we teach. That is definite. I mean, medical teachers will have to be really very careful. The students would have the answers through ChatGPT. So there are universities which have banned ChatGPT because you ask a question and the ChatGPT is an answer. And this is going to be a very interesting challenge. So there'll be an evolution in AI chatbots in healthcare. It would definitely change the way we interact with our patients. So a lot of friends tell me, how would ChatGPT express itself? How would it be emotional? So emotional AI is there at the doorstep. There are certain books which talk about these. So there are already few books written on AI and emotional intelligence. And if these books are there, that means you can imagine we have it ready, maybe not next year, but in the year to come. So robots can express themselves. They can clearly show they're upset, they're angry, and all this can be governed by AI. So this is the gadget that I'm developing. You can see this baby. This is the world's most complex simulator for newborn baby. Cost about a 2 crore cost. I was fortunate to get this in Nagpur. And you can see this simulation that I'm doing on this Lucy baby using my new gadget is literally showing me the ABGs when I hyperventilate. You can see pH, PCO2, alveolar gases, all that can be shown. And these are the kind of gadgets which will make our job easy. So it is there now, and we'll have to be changing our lifestyle depending on how we interact with them. Now, there will be conflicts between AI and EQ. we'll say lack of emotional understanding. Lack of emotions could be one of the areas that we would feel as how would ChatGPT or AI react? But then having emotional overlay is not a big advantage. Even for us, there will be ethical concerns. There will be issues with impersonal interactions. Privacy and emotional data could be one of the important things. And there will be a lot of job displacements. That's going to happen for sure. Now, see this. This was in Honolulu when I was there. I was observing this little creature. And this fellow had gone for swimming. And see how intelligently he's stealing biscuits from his bag. He goes there, enjoys the biscuits, observes the tourist. Is he around? He goes back, takes another biscuit there, goes back and relaxes. So this is how intelligent these small little creatures are. This is exactly what AI is. He has good database of this area. He knows which area is safe. He has sensors which are feeding him through this. And believe me, after about 15 minutes, this fellow comes in and there's nothing left in his pockets. And what I'm showing is an actual video of how the animals react to the intelligence, and this is what an AI is. So it would have advantages. It would have objective decision making. AI will operate without emotional biases. And it will be an advantage. Because we too get our emotions sometimes hinder with good decision making. AI will have an advantage of operating without an emotional overlay. The decisions would have consistency and stability. The focus would be more on science. The focus would be more on mathematics, physics, and chemistry. I'm sure this would be much less on the emotions and the overlays, but then at some points, they would definitely be doing good. One good advantage of AI is AI lacks ego. Whatever said and done, sometimes that I'm correct in my way of looking at is an ego, like all our mythical books had ego as a very important thing, Mahabharata, Ramayana, and they were detrimental at sometimes. So AI lacks ego, consciousness, and subjective experiences. Now, these could be an advantage over our intelligence. There are a good number of books saying that. So sometimes we feel that our way of looking at a problem is the only way, and there's no other way that you can look. Now, this ego could be not correct and could be a hindrance. And this is where AI can score over us. So just to give you data and data, I explained this to you. Now, deep learning is next level of learning, like neuronal layers are exactly like what happens in our brains. Image recognition is going to be very, very important. In fact, in one of the meetings, I showed an X-ray, where in that X-ray, this was an absent patella syndrome. Now, this patient went to a lot of colleagues. Patella was not noted. So in fact, I instantly picked up that. I could have missed it as well. But most often, image recognition would not do this mistake. So in fact, sometimes I'll look at an X-ray and don't consider whether the patella is there or not. It's not a very common situation, so I'm likely to miss it. But this is where image recognitions would not. So a study presented in JAMA, where they compared 100 American board certified radiologists versus AI evaluation of imaging MRI, and AI was correct in 98% of patients versus human response, which was correct in about 92% of patients. So radiology, genetics is now totally gone from our hands. In fact, most of it is AI. And this would be happening, for example, a lot of areas where imaging is important. Some of these would be the first victims. So you can show and see how in the field of radiology, AI is coming in a big way. So this is Dr. Deepak from AI, and we work on some areas on. So he was with me in some of those developments that I can see. So this was today's news. Experts poke holes in controls of ChatGPT. So there would be holes in ChatGPT. There'll be problems in ChatGPT, but life is never going to be same again, for sure. We will have to change. And I mean, if you like it or not, some of these technologies are going to be definitely a part of the way we take care of our patients. Thank you. I thank Maharashtra Academy of Pediatrics for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. It was really an innovative lecture. New era of AI we came to know through you. So now I request all the delegates, the forum is open for question answer. We have with us Dr. Vichare sir from Kolhapur. So I request sir, he was interested to ask you something, some questions. Vichare sir.
Dr. Vichare, I'm waiting for your question.
I guess some network issue or something.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dr. Devpujari sir, I just wanted to know, because you have been telling us a lot about how ChatGPT has been used and all that. I have been using ChatGPT for the last 3 years continuously. I mean, but not for the medical purpose.
Yeah.
It is just for the fun, I can tell you.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you some interesting story. One of my, as you have told that in Urdu, you converted your verses in Urdu.
Yeah.
So same thing, when I was discussing with one of my friends, we had one small cat over there. And we were discussing about, suppose you want to write a poem on cat, can you do that? He said, okay, I can do that very well, because he was well versed in the English and a professor of English as well. Then I told him, can you write it down in the form of a Shakespearean way or as it is? And he told me, yes, you can do that, but it's very difficult. It may take around 4-5 days. And then I said, can you do it in a Longfellow's verses? Can you write a poem on cat as a Longfellow would have written this poem? And he said, well, it's very difficult. I have not studied Longfellow very well. I told him, you can use this ChatGPT, and within a minute, the whole poem was there, something like that. I wanted to ask, sir, what are the limitations of ChatGPT, which you can, I mean, when we are using this application continuously in our modern medicine, and we are using it for the critical care medicine, what may be the limitations? What are the usual things which you come across when you are using it in a critical care?
Yeah. So, can you hear me? Now,
Yes,
the limitations of ChatGPT, are the limitations that we have.
Yeah.
Like, for example, what limitations would Dr. Devpujari have when it comes to handling a situation? And in fact, I was reading a book, General Patton,
Right.
in Second World War.
Yeah.
And the movie opens with the statement that no bastard has ever won the war.
Everyone know
dying
by
for his
dying for his
country.
country.
And one of the technical persons says, he says, look at the monitors.
Yeah.
So the aviation industry that time faced 30% accidents.
Right.
And the pilots were so confident, I know what speed I'm flying. I know the way I land. I know the way I don't need anything.
Okay.
That was an area, about when we were students, our teachers very confident. Satish, this is mitral stenosis, and I know this is pre-systolic accentuation, and I can hear the opening snap. Now with echo, most of us refuse to talk about it.
Right.
We'll say, let the report come. We were overconfident.
Right.
Right? Now what happens is, we'll have to shed that, because there would be someone who would be closely looking to what we're doing. And the database is going to be so massive that it is not going to be easy. That does not mean that ChatGPT will not make a mistake.
Right.
Definitely it can, as we can. Okay. So we'll have to work together. Like I've asked the ChatGPT that you're wrong. What I did was fed a wrong answer. In fact, I did an interesting thing. I kept on feeding a wrong answer to one of the MCQs in ChatGPT. And I'll tell you a joke. Someone picked up that wrong answer, the correct answer, and I knew he will do that. Because he took the ChatGPT and looked option D as a correct answer. And Satish Devpujari was responsible for partly changing it. So all these tricks can happen. Okay.
Right.
And what is important is that we'll have to be careful. Some of these questions can be maliciously fed. And that is why
Yes.
this today's news, which shows the holes in ChatGPT, all these are going to be realities, as is true of any technology.
That's true. Recently, sir, there was a report published by the UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, and then they asked ChatGPT to find out the correct treatment for a particular respiratory problem. And then they gave the, of course, this was given to them by some experts, pediatric experts. And one such example was given that a child is having a 2-year-old child was playing with a small toys, and suddenly got choked up, cyanosed, and what may be the diagnosis and what treatment you should start. And then they were expecting some answers, right from the beginning, but they were classified as expected answers and unexpected answers. And the first one, unexpected answer came was induced vomiting. That is how the ChatGPT works. That is what they say. But of course, it is going to improve upon itself. As you have shown that formulas where if you keep on telling that this is wrong, then it ultimately is a machine learning. It's going to learn by itself and ultimately coming to the proper answer.
And I shared you
time.
The formula of Euler-Gard's equation.
Right.
They were not ready to accept only.
Right.
I had to force ICCM. I said, this is medicine.
Yeah.
Then the editor kept on saying, I said, see, why you're not accepting is because you are not good in mathematics. I told him bluntly.
Really? I
said,
it is such a notorious student, which is probably doesn't come to your clinic often.
Yeah. So I think we'll have to be.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And one more thing which I want to ask about that, if the ChatGPT is going to improve upon itself with the some emotional things as well.
Yeah.
So probably one what they were asking, in pediatric age group, the emotion counts more, and then of course you have to be careful in avoiding this and that. This ChatGPT is more useful in US or in UK, where the doctors are not easily available. So, and where the parents, they can contact ChatGPT or have the ChatGPT, they can have a chatbot, and then they keep on discussing the symptoms, and then they will know that whether their child is seriously ill or not. And if they find out that it is not a seriously ill, they will not rush to an emergency unit.
Absolutely.
And that is why most of the time, the time will not be, because easily doctor is not available.
Absolutely.
And it is against the situation here in India that the doctor is 24 hours available.
Absolutely.
I mean, most of the time your pediatrician is available at the very emergency hours. So no problem about that.
Yeah.
But probably they may be. There was one interesting story about a taxi driver talking to a pediatrician on ChatGPT, and which is available on YouTube as well. And that is how he could manage a serious patient in his taxi. That is how, and then most of the he was a pediatrician as well who was looking after this, and then we discussed quite a few things about it. Anyway, I'm thankful to you, sir. Very good discussion about ChatGPT. Like to contact you again anytime.
Thank you, sir. There is one question in chat box by Dr. Samir sir. Is ChatGPT useful for kids? Homework they doing within seconds. Should kids refrain from using it?
Oh, it's a very tough question. But first and foremost, whether they should use ChatGPT. Presently, the reactions of most of us is no. So in fact, there's a very good friend of mine in the US. So I spoke to the boy, brilliant boy in US in 10th standard, whether he uses ChatGPT. He said, uncle, I know ChatGPT, but I don't use it. It's like, whether you smoke, okay. So it's not considered healthy. I mean, once in a while, the fellow might be, but by and large, you will say, no, I don't smoke. Okay. Similarly, using ChatGPT is not considered good ethical behavior. And, but as a teacher, it is my job to know. See, now I know this email is written by ChatGPT. I know it now, definitely. So in fact, a friend of mine who's all right, once he emails me, I said, "Ye English kahan se aaya?" So I wrote to him, "Ye ChatGPT, हाँ sir, बराबर है कैसे आपने पहचान लिया?" I said, "आपको मालूम है?"
Dr. Samir, excuse me. I mean, I tell you something. In US, my son, grandson is in US now. He's in 4th standard. Uses ChatGPT. You know, the thing is, when I asked him, okay, if you are using a ChatGPT, no, of course, my teacher knows that I have used ChatGPT because he can find out immediately. No doubt about it. He as soon as that particular language, so I have to regenerate again and again. Tell them, okay, talk to ChatGPT. No, I don't want in this language. I wanted a very simple language, like a 4-year school, a 4th standard school by do. And then ChatGPT likes it can give answer in that particular language, a format of that particular thing.
Yeah.
That happens, but again, teacher can find out because they know. Because
you can make out.
Most of them are
now
using.
I can make out. I get a message. I know ChatGPT ne likha hai.
Of course.
Yeah, because the language can be very clearly
recognized. Right, sir.
Yeah. So like, but this is it. But not a bad English. Kam se kam theek hai.
Samir, your students are going to use ChatGPT in your clinic, and most of them will have in their mobile. I mean, if you ask them some differential diagnosis, immediately some 10 diagnoses will be offered to you straight, and you will be confused.
Waiting hall mein baithe.
There is one more question. Any comments on Amazon Scribe? Will it come to India and will
Amazon
Scribe?
Amazon's 1 second. Let me just check. I'm not aware. Let me ask ChatGPT.
There is one more question.
Let's be honest. I mean, tomorrow, instead of falling on my face, I will say, oh no, I am not aware really.
Dr.
Yeah.
Aniket Kumbhoskar also wants to ask one question.
Yeah.
Yes, Aniket, come on, go ahead.
Aniket, sir.
Aniket, sir, please.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask this one ethical question that suppose a ChatGPT gives one decision or treatment option, and as a doctor, you feel the other option. So, what you should do?
No, definitely. I'm not going to be taking my decisions on what ChatGPT says. But let's imagine this. When I went to PG and I was with Dr. Sujit Singh for about 2 hours, I realized there are conditions which I never thought. This fellow had recurring febrile episodes. There's so many conditions now which will never come to our mind. So if the ChatGPT tells me a couple of things, I will at least now keep in mind that this is a possibility. And so that is how I think I will work. I will work with ChatGPT to try and get the, but ultimately what I will do will be my decision depending on what I think of this child. But these are parallel forces which definitely I will use. For example, now in my technology, I use some codings which I get from ChatGPT. So I don't put my head into creating small programs. I use it from ChatGPT. It's an easy way of doing things. So that way, I think it will be a good idea to use it as an adjunct to what we think.
And can this ChatGPT further actually do problems to us, because previously it is a Google which was causing trouble to us by the patient end.
Right.
Now the ChatGPT is one more, tool in a monkey's hand, which will again revolutionize their doubts. So do you think that
imagine when PowerPoint came in, some of my teachers would say, Satish, PowerPoint aa gaya na to abhi gadbad ho jayegi. They were afraid of PowerPoint. I remember those times. फिर बहुत मुश्किल से ये काम को slide बना दो. So what happened is, but now we have used these devices and softwares for a better this thing. So I think we always went through these anxieties when something new comes up. But I'm very sure all of us will have to prepare ourselves for this and take it as our friend. And any friend that we have could be a trouble in some time. So that way, I think we'll have to take that. We can't just be saying, no, these things are, when I know no, nothing is going to happen with ChatGPT, is not going to change anyway. I think that should not be the approach.
Dr. Aniket, can I intervene? I mean, Dr. Aniket, probably there may be some question for you as well, that you must be coming across, many times that whether to start growth hormone or not for a particular child. And then there are a lot of other criteria which you want to apply. And then if you use ChatGPT there, the data which you are probably going to get is a huge. And naturally, that time, with the analysis of that particular data, that particular ChatGPT answer may be guiding you, but ultimately decision you have to take to start growth hormone at this age or not. That is important. Of course, for you, because you are going to manage the patient, not the ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And both would learn together.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, when you start something, your data will be again going back to the ChatGPT, and this ChatGPT program may get improved upon itself. That is the idea.
Like for genetics now, I don't think we would ever thought that the entire analysis would be almost now AI based. So things have definitely, things are definitely going to change, and we'll have to be accepting this change for sure.
Hello.
Any more questions?
So there is one more question. What is the best app which we can download, which is reasonable, reliable, and free at present?
Yeah. So, in fact, I was just thinking that how do I share the original chat GPT? Is there any way? I will share the link on iPhone and Android tomorrow, so that and the icon can be. I know, but of course, most of you would know. I will not be able to show you. I think I will share this link for the chat GPT, the original chat GPT link.
Okay. Sir.
The advanced version
Sir, you
Llama will be
can share
available
with-
soon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it will be available.
Llama will be available.
Yeah.
And those who want to really use ChatGPT, Llama will be very helpful because it will be
Should
again
be.
included in your
Yeah.
meta. So no problem about it.
That's right. And in fact, now the chat GPT is only language module.
Yeah, it's the language model. That's it.
Yeah, there's so many. Like for example, I was with architect group. No, they are now using this
Yeah.
for designing your bedroom. And there are 100 versions available. So I think every of the professionals will have to go through these challenges.
Experience with glass health. Health.
Was it? I'm not able to hear well.
Any experience regarding the glass.health? I didn't get the question.
No, I really don't know.
Hello, sir. I'm Dr. Shamik
Can
Singh.
chat?
Yes.
Hello.
Shamik. Hello, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So actually,
Yes, sir. Yes.
Glass.health is a website which is incorporating artificial intelligence just like ChatGPT.
Okay.
And it is only health-based, and it is clearing many of my clinical dilemmas. Just like we input in the ChatGPT, we
Right.
input the signs and symptoms in Glass Health. It gives differential diagnosis and plan of action that a clinician has to take.
Right. So Shamik, nice point you brought out. There are a lot of such apps, and that's why on my third slide I showed algorithms. I shared the algorithm in our app. Now, if you see the ABG apps, if you type ABG apps, you'll see so many apps, but none of them have the algorithm which is so well studied as we have. So the most ABG apps will show you metabolic acidosis and adequate compensation, but none of would show you RTA type 4, because we could dissect into those algorithms. So a lot of these have this kind of wisdom. I'm not aware if this particular app has the ability to learn itself, because whatever feedback you give, if they're improving on it, then I think this is how most of the AI apps work. But I'm not exactly.
Yeah, most of the apps are improving themselves.
Right.
They're working on the same platform.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is possible.
So, just we studied that decision making in Nelson.
Yeah.
So same algorithms they are following it.
You know what, Shamik? It's very unlikely. Nelson is a textbook with so many authors, right? I really don't know whether every author would follow those kind of things. I mean, it might be happening, but I'm not really sure.
बाई त्याच्यावर थिसिस नको करू आता मी तुला दाखवतो कुठे टाकलेलं आहे ठीक आहे ना तुला मी
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamik. Thank you.
Yeah, there is one more question. I'm not able to see it. 1 second, sir. Can ChatGPT a co-author in research article? Is it valid?
Yeah, so now there's been in fact, now there's a software which will identify, is it ChatGPT product? So a lot of these softwares have already come now, and you're not supposed to put that. The ownership of ChatGPT is a big debate which is going on, but the answer is absolutely no, as it is today. Yeah. So the answer is no, it cannot be. I mean, I read some interesting articles on the similar lines, and the answer is no.
So there is one more question. Ethically, can we give the reference of the chat GPT?
No. No.
No.
Absolutely.
You can't give. I mean, there is some ethical point over here. If you are treating a child and something goes wrong and you keep on telling the judges that I asked ChatGPT to guide me, then you are in a soup. I mean, you can't do that.
But you know what I
It's
will do?
non-ethical.
If ChatGPT suggests me something,
Yeah,
I'm not going to refer to ChatGPT. What has he suggested? I'll open my book and see.
yeah, that's it. I
And
mean,
then-
you can
Yeah.
tell them that I have this has been given to me by ChatGPT. It
No, we
may
never
not
tell.
be answered
Why should we
valid.
put our head into this?
Yeah.
We say, no,
Yeah.
I knew that. I referred this book.
Refer this book and then yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
I mean, we
You
don't
can-
have to
you
tell
can-
if this is from.
And if it is given in the book,
Yeah, exactly.
that should be there.
Exactly.
Even it has been said that ChatGPT is not suitable for handling the medical emergencies. I mean, on that emergency situation, the consultant has to work, not the ChatGPT. You can take the reference from it, but we have to act.
Right.
Any more questions?
In fact, the
It was
I'll
really
tell you something about emergency and ChatGPT. The latest, there is again one article on, I think Kashmir, I have to send you down that Dr. Dean's lecture on the emergencies
Yes,
and
sir.
ChatGPT.
Yes, sir.
In fact, no, this is very interesting.
Michael Dean has given a very good account about it.
The ChatGPT opening, welcome to ChatGPT, says ChatGPT can be inaccurate. First sentence.
Yeah.
It's not like us. I mean, if Dr. Deve, patient comes to me, Dr. Deve can be inaccurate. I cannot start like this. Okay. Though I can be. So ChatGPT is very clear about it. It clearly says it can be inaccurate. It's up to you to accept.
Accept it. That's it, sir.
That is it.
It was very good interactive session. Any more questions? Because almost we are end of the session, 11 o'clock, and still we have 88 participants with us. So it was really an interesting session. Okay, now I request Dr. Samir Sadavarte sir to give a vote of thanks.
Okay, thanks Kashmiri for this.
Yes,
So as mentioned, so today's expert with Dr. Satish Pujari, excellent speaker on versatile ways, like not only on the physiology or physics or ABG, he can talk on any subject related, and I can witness that, and everybody of here have witnessed this today. So ChatGPT as such is a very good innovative, but still has some limitations, and Deputy Sir has given excellent examples for this. So thank you, Deputy Sir, for this today's version on the journey into realm of intelligence conversations. And thanks to Kashmiri as a secretary for Kolhapur IP and also for the HINA module lead faculty for having this session today. This is the need of the hour for the everyone. I'll also thanks the MMC observer today, Dr. Suhas Patil sir, who has taken the time and has come for this session. And with Dr. Vichare and all other speakers, all other people who asked for specific questions and able to get very good answers from the Deputy sir. So we'll get all these types of innovative types of things on the Maharashtra IP, with Maha IP having more than 5,000 subscribers now and more than 555 lectures in last 2 years, CMEs or organizations done. So I also thanks to Dr. Maha IP President Secretary, Dr. Patil sir and Dr. Pawar sir for having this innovative thought and chat for today on the ChatGPT. So thanks everyone who attended today, and we will definitely come out with new versions and new points in the next meeting. Thanks everyone, and I declare the session is over today.
My special thanks to Amol, because this topic came up when I spoke to Amol, and it was like instantaneously accepted. So thank you, Amol.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, from Team Mahapi. And whether Dr. Suhas Patil sir is there, can we have some words from him? Suhas sir,
He was there.
I think he
so.
left.
I think
No,
he was
he
busy
is there,
in
sir.
patient.
He is there.
He's
Suhas
Okay,
sir,
so
please.
sir,
Suhas sir, kindly unmute.
This is busy.
I think he might be busy in patients.
Yeah.
In the mid session, I called him. He was busy. Thank you, Dev Pujari sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amol sir, Dr. Patil sir, Dr. Samir sir. I conclude this over now. Any
Yes.